Hello, traders. It's 8 a.m. Chicago time on Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2019. Thanks for joining me this morning on episode number 1551. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the overall sentiment is risk off. We're seeing the markets across the board lower. The DAX being the weakest, down 127 points or 1.02%, followed by the Euro Stocks 50 out of Europe, down 19 points or 0.54%. Interestingly, the cable and gold are down. The cable is down 0.51% and gold is down 0.41%. The Dow's down 109, the Russell 6.3 points, and the S&P down 11. Amazingly, the Nasdaq's down less than the S&P is, just 30 points. At the same time, the bonds are off 10 ticks, the Bund is off 32 ticks, and the 10 years are off 5.5 ticks. So it just seems like what is allocation to? It's really to nowhere. It's maybe to cash or something because money's being pulled from the risk assets and it's really not going anywhere. The two products that I monitor that are up, crude oil is up 20 cents or 0.38%, trading at 57.89 on the August contract, and the US dollar index is up 14 cents, 0.15%. To me, those of you who were here yesterday, you heard me talk about or make a somewhat of a case for a market that is likely to roll over and turn down. And I talked a little bit about the reasons I believe that uh, it's likely to continue lower, that it has capitulated at the top. And now we are pushing lower this morning. The S&P's overnight high is lower than yesterday's day session high, and the point of control is below yesterday's range. So that's where we are. As far as what's ahead on the calendar that is likely to move us around, we do have Fed Chair Powell releasing a speech that started at 8:45 Eastern. Fed's Bullard is scheduled to talk at 10 a.m. Eastern. At the same time, we get the U.S. JOLTS job openings, which is extremely high. It's 7.47 million expected. Fed's Bostic at 1 p.m. We get our 3-year note auction. We get Fed's Quarles at 2 p.m. And then after the market, we get the API the crude stock inventory stock change at 4:30 Eastern, and then this evening at about 9:30 p.m. we get the inflation rate out of China. That's a significant release there. So again, pay attention to the Fed speakers. Not expecting too much. There's also a news release that a comment from Kudlow, the economic advisor to the U.S. president, saying that Powell's job is safe. There is no effort to remove him, which could have fooled me. It sounded like there was a lot of push to remove him. Um, so that's where we stand. In terms of what was expected yesterday versus what we got in our review segment yesterday, the primary scenario is for a short duration open auction here, looking for a test up towards 29.87, and then ultimately I was looking for the market to roll down and then potentially test the low all the way down into the 66, 67 area. But overall, I was expecting, as indicated here, I was expecting this 87 area to hold. And if it does, then I'm looking to the sell side mainly. Here's what actually happened. I'll show you this on the trigger chart because it's easier to see. We get sellers right off the get-go. Sellers look almost like they're driving. The delta was strong to the sell side immediately off the open. We only had one tick up, and then it started to balance out, and we get this rotation up to 85, 84.75. Remember, anything under 87, a test of 87 is expected to be sold on the first try. Could not get up there, and it immediately rotates the other way and gives us our first down impulse on the day. Big rotation down after a big rotation up. And overall, it's not able to breach the low that was put in earlier, so we're looking for balance. Pulls back to the mid here for continuation trade. We do get a small continuation, a lower low, but really a pretty noisy trade for most of the day. For me, the only real setup that took place is the mid short after the impulse down, and then the mid short after the range extension down right here. The IB low is taken out. Yesterday was a normal day type, and the profile shows that there was an excess, a small excess at the top, the bulk of the volumes in the middle, a small excess at the bottom, almost like a V-shaped, or for those of you who like patterns, an inverted head and shoulders type of pattern on a very short range, or on a little bit bigger time frame. It looks like a head and shoulder pattern that formed yesterday. So that's where we stand. We end up finishing right on top of VWAP, mid, and the point of control. It does look weak. I did not see much participation by buyers yesterday, although the large lots were buying into the close. So if we look at the relative delta, we'll see that the buyers came in, the large lots came in buying right in there, and then they sold them right off back to zero on the large lots, and then from there it's just sideways on the large, very large lots, sideways on the very large and large lots, and sellers on the small lots all the way into the close. The very large lots started buying after this V bottom right here, and sold off a little bit into the close. So what does that all mean? It means that the market was just all over the place. It was just not able to get out of balance, and even the market profile shows that we had a nice tail on both sides. We had a tail in C period, and we had a tail in K period right here, and we held the middle. And you can see the middle has a pretty good sized belly right there. So we have balance, expecting imbalance. As we come into, so that's the review of yesterday. Scenario one did not quite get down into this area here and did not quite test the 86.87. So just disappointment all around. Um, Volume was just slightly light yesterday. Coming into the overnight session, now we're seeing some action. We go sideways until the Asian Open, and then the Asian Open comes in with a selling tail. You can see the profile here is very thin, or slightly thin on the top versus the bottom. So we have, what we have for last night is a B-shaped profile, or potentially long liquidation. The shape is a long liquidation shape, and you could see the impulse pullback. Couldn't quite get to mid in the overnight session, and we get a small continuation. We've been holding sideways. We're on top of the overnight point of control currently. We're on top of the MC point of control from last week, and holding steady underneath this mid area, and underneath the range of the last 2 days. So this looks weak to me, so I'm going to be favoring the short side unless we get an impulse up that holds and continues. Okay, so again, we are right on top of the overnight point of control, just holding steady. We're in a holding pattern overall. Just a quick review of the order flow. So yesterday you could see that it's quite clustered. Yesterday's RTH is right here. You can see the volume coming in. It's just completely clustered trade. Very stacked. It's kind of a scalper's market yesterday. From the reopen, we do get a sell. We do have a small collision here. Need to keep an eye on this price down here at 72 for a retest. Likely to hold on a retest if we once we come up. Not always, but likely. But since then, really, when I look at the heat map, it's not saying much. I mean, 2960 is the 2018 high that was put in September 2018. That's got some size on it, but other than that, 2970, 75, and then 2977.50 yesterday's volume point of control. But overall, I'm more interested in selling any pops than anything else today. So that's the order flow or the heat map for the day. In terms of what's expected for today, so we're going to come in here looking for a lot of chatter on the news today. So this morning we're opening out of range. We're expecting an open auction in this. See this these 2 days with the point of control on top of each other. Right there is the point of control, the brown line, the 2 points of control on top of each other. That's where we are. That's where the overnight point of control is. We're back in this balance of the last 2 days. If we throw a profile on top of this, we'll start to see what we've accomplished. And what we have accomplished, let me color this in so it's easier to see. Let's do some volume shading. Let's do green because it contrasts. So you can see over the last couple days or last week or so, we've built two distributions. One is right there, and the other is right here, and we are right on top of the other. And so what I'm going to look for today is a test of this distribution, this low volume node in the distribution, the stock zone at 29.73 quarter. I'm going to look to sell that. I'm going to look to sell that on a first attempt higher. So the expectation, because the market's likely to revert back, and we are in kind of a bigger picture balance here. The expectation is an open auction out of range that starts to revert back, and I'm looking to sell into the 73 area for an impulse down back to the point of control, and the overnight low gets taken out for the overnight stat, and then I'm looking for it to balance out somewhere in the middle here. We do get the Fed testimony tomorrow, and the market's expected to respond to that. A lot of things are likely to be revealed by Fed Chair Powell tomorrow to Congress, and so we're expecting the market to reprice based on that. The secondary scenario is an open that just moves away from the overnight point of control, not expected immediately, but pushes the overnight low into this 29.52 area for an impulse back up into balance, and then a retest of 73 and a poke into yesterday's range for a reversion back to where we were yesterday. That's scenario two. So a test down immediately on the open. I'm going to look to see if I can lean against this 62 area. Sorry, the prices, I'm off for some reason. Look to see if we can bounce off of the 62 area back into the 70, 73, 74 area on a test down. So it's another one of those days where if it's an open auction, I'm just going to sit out, wait for it to make its first test, show us its first impulse, uh, and then trade from that direction. Uh, just remember, as a trader, it's not our business to figure out why it's doing something. It's not our business to figure out why it didn't test this area or that area. It's our business to respond to the price action. And so our goal is to see the price action and then take a position in the direction of whichever side is dominant. So the first 15, and maybe this is a kind of a trader wisdom segment, but the first 15, 20 minutes or half hour trading, our entire existence as a trader is to detect which side has the strength, which side can take control, because we want to align ourselves with that side. So if you're distracted by something else, then you're missing out on the actual narrative that's telling us which side is likely to be in control. So this is where we stand. Once we figure out which side is in control, our edge has a better opportunity playing out when we start to push from that side. Okay. Good luck today, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care.